Hello and welcome to Botany with Tiller. So today I'm going to show you how I weed and how I suppress weeds. So the first thing that I'd like to point out is the saying of 1 year's seeds equals 7 years seeds. This weed is Ecalpha virginica. It's also known as Virginia copperleaf. So you can see in the center, it is starting to have a copper tinge to it. As it grows, that will slowly increase. We want to remove this. Yes, it is a native, but it is also going to take over this area. So we're going to get the root and everything. So now this will not go to seed this year, and this can produce hundreds of seeds. So put that in the bucket, and we're going to continue. So for the ones that we need to get by the roots, and take them out. If you allow this to go to seed, then it's going to spread, right? But thistle also will spread by root. So we can get the root out. That's only a little bit of it. It's going to come back. But that is an underground rhizome, and that will spread and produce more babies, like it's doing here and there, and this one that I pulled out. But it's coming up everywhere. This property has a huge thistle problem. So I'm gonna put that in there. I like to compost any weeds that haven't gone to seed. That's personal preference. So you do with that what you will. And for other weeds that are woody, like this one, I actually really like this plant. This is rough leaf dogwood. If you can hear that. Very rough on the leaf. Opposite arrangement on the buds. But for these, we're going to try to get out by the base. Sometimes they need a little encouragement. I like these hory knives because they can dig deep and pop out. But they can also, they have a serrated edge. They can cut quite nicely. All right, so we've cut through the root about 1 inch deep on both of them. So now this is dead. This area is all well and easy to deal with by hand. It will maybe take me half an hour, I don't know, probably not that long. But what if you have an area that looks more like this, with a lot more weed pressure? Or like this, where you can't even see any of the mulch or any of the plants underneath. So the first step to do is knock down all the weeds. It gets all that high organic matter that's, standing up about 6 inches, 2 foot tall, knocking it down so that we can lay this flat. Now, next thing is to get all your obstacles out of the way. That is things like landscaping stones, which as you see were right there, and a hose box, which sat right over here. Now take a look at this. I weeded this a couple weeks ago. We didn't put down any mulch and put the hose box back down. Now this is an example of what the thistle will do when it is under the contractor's board. This has seen sunlight and it's growing just fine. This is wasting, what, 10 times, 20 times the energy as that has, just searching for sunlight. So when you bury this under paper and several inches of mulch, it's gonna hopefully starve out the thistle. Now it really depends on how well of a job you do. I'll show you an example of something I did last week, and it's had a week and some thistles popped up. So that's the first thing, is to starve nutrients. The second thing is to bury the seed bank. Now over here, there must have been a lot of seeds right here. And I knocked all this down last week. And you see all these things have just started to come up, all these seedlings. This stuff is full of seeds. And we can't do much about that other than bury it. So that is the second goal. Now to make this look nice, you're gonna want to put an edge on your bed. So I like using this thing called, it's a rogue hoe. It's from A.M. Leonard here in Ohio. So we want to take all these weeds on the edge and knock them out with just a little bit of work. If your soil's good, this takes no effort at all. Now, why are we doing that? So when you lay this board down, you're gonna want at least 6 inches of overlap. We want 6 inches from where mulch is gonna end to where any weeds are, or a second sheet of cardboard is. So putting an edge there keeps this weed, it's gonna have to travel all the way over here to reach sunlight. But if we don't have an edge on it, and these weeds are just gonna have to go just a little bit before they reach sunlight. So put an edge on your beds. This tool is great for edging against a lawn or another landscape bed. I like to use a shovel for walls such as that. I usually use a flat spade, but I don't have one today, so use this. Just get it in there and knock it out. So once you've got everything edged, you're going to want to knock down these big piles here and even out the area so that the cardboard lays level. If it doesn't lay level, then you're going to get high spots, high pressure spots, and the cardboard's going to rip. Now comes time to lay down the paperboard. Firstly, you're going to want to start at the corner and butt up against the wall and drag it down and cut it, right? Then you want to put some of your mulch right here. Here we're using a 50-50 mix of mushroom compost and pine fines. It's a really good mix. Putting that down to weigh it down so when the wind blows, the cardboard doesn't go crazy. So then we're going to want to start with your second round. And remember, always 6 inches of overlap. Always position it so that the roll is on top of the sheet so that you can just roll it down and have the weight of it do the work. Then once you've gotten to the end, then take your knife and I just use a little box cutter, works good enough. Find the edge of your bed and just start cutting. Sometimes it rips, that's okay. Now, you got an edge. This is also another reminder why you want a good clean edge so that you can easily find that with your knife. Now, again, take a little scoop of compost or mulch and start on the top layer so that your mulch doesn't go underneath. Because if I do it here, my mulch is going to start sliding underneath this section. We don't want that. So put it on this side, weigh it down. Now once you've got a good enough area where you think you can dump a whole load of mulch, you're going to want to find an area where you can place this little bit that helps you turn it over, right? This is going to dig into the cardboard like nothing else. So you want to put this either on a huge pile of mulch that you've already put down so it can distribute the weight, or you want to put it on the lawn and dump that way. So let me show you. So we've dumped our pile, and you see how that dug in right here? So I'm gonna fix that. And we grab our rake. We push. And we use the smooth edge of the rake because these teeth, you can tear into it. You can tear into the cardboard with the teeth. So smooth end. Move it like that. A reminder, always work from the top layer to the small layer, so you're not pushing mulch underneath the top layer. Not good. So what can you do if you have a hole? Well, what I like to do is, if it's a small enough piece like this is, I just take it out. I take my knife and I start cutting it up and making it smaller so it's not protruding. Now, and come back over and put our piece on top. Now we've still got this hole. Now that is going to be just like an open doorway to any weeds. Like, hey, come on in. There's room, there's sunlight, come grow. So just take a little piece, rip it off, and now you can put that over. As long as you get that 6-inch overlap, just put your mulch on top of here and you're good to go. You can also try to slide it underneath, but that is a little harder to do. So for small ones like this is fine. Now for areas where you have exposed irrigation and hose line, you want to keep those above surface if your client so desires. For the hose, this one was easy. You just put it on top, you lay your paper underneath. Now for the irrigation line, you're going to want to roll it over. Once you have it rolled over, cut, and placed in position, then you're going to want to feel for that irrigation line. So we see it right here, and very carefully cut to the side of it and expose it. See? And once you've cut all the way, you can pull it out and then cut you another strip and patch it up. Make sure for irrigation heads, when you do this, cut the cardboard around it, and make sure when you mulch it to keep it still accessible and able to pop up. You always want a couple inches of mulch on top of this, and that's going to keep the rain from washing it away, and it's going to really suppress weeds. What you want to do for up against buildings is keep the mulch at least 1 to 2 inches away from the brick. Termites can live in the mulch and create passageways up into the brick if you bridge that gap. So always keep at least 1 to 2 inches away. To make it look nice, you can use the back of your hard rake and level it off like so. And that puts a nice clean touch on it to appease the suburban mindset. For your edge against the lawn, use the teeth part of your hog rake and just drag any leftover material into the bed and keep it all nice and smooth. Make sure to get the mulch away from the base of the plants. Allow them room to breathe. So why should you mulch? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is moisture retention, another is decompaction, another is providing organic matter, and another is suppressing weeds. Look at this area that has no mulch. Yes, it has rain, so it's a little soft, but as I rub my fingers, there's nothing, like it's hard. It's hard. It's clayey, it's compact. And when this gets full sun for a couple days, it will just dry out. There's nothing going on here. There's weeds, yes, but there's nothing fertile there, except for, some ants. But over here, we got some mulch, and look at that. The soil is pulling apart. It's rich. It's black because of the dye in this mulch. I mean, this is black mulch, artificially dyed, whatever. But it's loamy. It's still really moist. While this is already starting to dry out, and this boxwood is really happy, as well as all of these non-natives, except for river birch. Very nice. So yeah, make sure you mulch. Now the kind of mulch I'm using is called triple shred hardwood. This stuff is really nice. It comes straight from the back of arborist chip trucks. That's then put through a shredder 3 times, hence the name triple shred. And so you can get really nice wood pieces. But it's really finely ground. It'll break down really nicely. Won't create a mat, just creates a nice bed of organic matter. Now, with this stuff, as with any arborist chips, you always want to check for plastics. Unlike that moth. That moth is really nice. Are you a piece of plastic? That moth looks like a piece of plastic. But here's what I'm talking about. Different pieces like this you want to look out for, because in the back of arborist chip trucks, the crews just put whatever they want in the back of there. Trust me, I've worked on a crew. You wouldn't imagine some of the things we put back in those trucks. And all that stuff just gets chipped up and it gets thrown into the landscape supplies mulch yard. By your own volition, make sure to pick out any pieces of plastic you see. Any plastic you find in the mulch, it doesn't determine the quality of the mulch. It's just a nature of the process. So don't go, being a Karen to your mulch yard. They're not going to care. Well, speaking of plastic, you might be asking, well, Taylor, why don't I use landscape fabric in my yard? Why this paper stuff? My mom uses it, and she loves landscape fabric. Well, I bet your mom also fed you out of plastic Tupperware as a kid. This landscape fabric is just little microfibers of plastic. What is that gonna do? It's just gonna shred off and get into everything, get in the air, and get into your food if you're growing a vegetable garden or something like that. It's really not even doing anything. I mean, look at it. What weeds is that suppressing? Nothing. I mean, seriously. It's kept your little rock in place. So why use this plastic at all? Once it's in the soil after many years, it just looks like this. Alright, so if no plastic, what do I use then? Well, I like what's called red rosin paper. This is a contractor's paper used inside houses to keep paint off floors and all that. Keep drippings from sealants and dust and prevent scratches on the floors, everything like that. It's basically just paper smooshed together into a long sheet. It's relatively thick. Other options include Amazon boxes. They'll make sure you take off the tape and all the labeling and all that. That's all has plastics in it. You can also use those leaf bags you can get from Home Depot. You can use literally anything that is natural, ideally 100% cardboard. The problem with cardboard nowadays is that they include things called forever chemicals. Do your due diligence in researching what type of cardboard is good for you, which ones don't have all those forever chemicals. You have to be practical. What's a little bit of forever chemicals to spending 8 hours weeding? I mean, what's going to kill you? Back-breaking labor or like micro doses of PFAs? It's up to you. I also use red rosin paper because I own my own horticultural business and I go through a lot of it. So this stuff I can easily roll out. I don't have to worry about any gaps. Like, imagine if you were doing this area with Amazon boxes. It's possible, but there's a lot of gaps you have to fix up. So with this stuff, I can get a 3-foot roll of it or a 6-foot roll of it and roll it out in no time, put some mulch on top of it, and be good to go. This stuff is $14 for a 3-foot by 150-foot roll. Someone made a whole lot of money off of this, convincing people that you gotta buy it. I mean, they'll sell this stuff for the same 3-foot by 150-foot roll that I have in paper. They'll sell for like $50, $75. Landscape fabric really only works for the first couple seasons. Once mulch and leaf litter start to make it into those crevices, all that happens is you get soil buildup down there, and then you get weeds. It's really a temporary solution. The contractor's paper will be gone within 6 months. It will biodegrade, and it won't stay in the soil like this stuff and just become a plastic nightmare. Alrighty, so here's the finished product. I've put down the landscape stones in the hose box on top so that over time they'll settle into the mulch. The hose is outside the mulch, just like the irrigation line is. Did the edging, keeping the mulch away from the house. Anyways, I want to show you the next bed. This bed I did last week with the same method, putting the cardboard down, and but this bed also had some thistle. So as you can see, some thistle is indeed popping up. So again, keep in mind that saying, 1 year's seeds, 7 years weeds. So just as things pop up, just pull them out. These things just came up because there's probably a hole or a mismatched layering of the cardboard. You know, you'll always get some of that, especially if you're dealing with irrigation or with really tough weeds that are going to poke holes, or if you're working in the rain. All of those are factors that are going to decrease the success of this method. The last thing I have to say is be careful about doing this on slopes. I did a project once with a company I used to work for on a decent grade in the backyard. We put in about a 1/4 acre prairie. Now, we had a ginormous storm the next day, and we had probably spent 2-3 days wheelbarrowing all this to the backyard, and we came in the next day and the entire thing was washed out. So just be wary of doing this on slopes. Keep in mind the weather, and make sure you use a good mulch that sticks together, that doesn't freely flow apart. Anyways, that's all I have for today. As I was weeding today and laying down the cardboard and mulching, I couldn't help but meditate a little bit on what it really means to pull a weed, about what weeds need to be pulled in my own life. And today that was music. I needed to listen to the birds, as you can hear now, and smell the flowers, take in the sensory experiences that we've been made to take in. We weren't created with music buzzing in our ears 24/7. So, speaking of weeds that need pulled, I don't want this video to become a weed in your life. If there's a goal that you've been set forth, that's been put on your heart, please go do that. If this video is educational, to help you achieve that goal, like making a garden or starting a native prairie, or starting your own horticulture gardening business, then by all means watch this video, learn from it. That is what I want it to be. I want it to be a learning experience. But I know that I've spent years on YouTube just watching and watching and watching and consuming and taking in all this slop, and yeah, I don't want this to be that. So after you're done with this and you learn, please go outside and implement it. If you're not going to implement it ever, don't watch. It's a waste of time. You go outside and go on a hike or do something. Take in the experience that we've been made to have by our Creator. That's all I've got. Have a good day, and go smell some bee balm. It's really nice.